Ladies and gentlemen, the man that you're looking at, his name is Ronnie Long. Ronnie was convicted for raping a white woman in North Carolina, and 44 years later, he didn't do the crime. This seems to be a very typical story. And as far as raping the white woman, that's a very overused thing in America all throughout the centuries. And it's not unusual for these rape allegations not to be true in the first place. We have seen it multiple times in America. So this came out in Esquire, November 9th, 2020. He didn't commit the crime, yet he served 44 years in prison. Now, when this crime happened, Ronnie was 20 years old. 20 years old, and this was Concord, North Carolina. And it was a woman, a white woman by the name of Sarah Boast, 54 years old. She claimed he raped her. All summer, protesters had demonstrated against Long's arrests, accusing police of racial bias. Now, hundreds are gathered outside for the verdict in the case that had torn a community apart. Inside, tensions were even higher. Virtually every spectator on the defense side was Black. Everyone on the prosecution side and all 12 jurors were white. So he was a victim of the all white jury, which I don't believe should ever exist in America. America is not an all white country. And so, therefore, an all white jury should be considered illegitimate. When Long was declared guilty, the audience erupted and police rushed to clear the courtroom. That was October 1976. This past August, Long was exonerated and walked out of the prison a free man. He'd been locked up for 44 years, placing him third on the list of American prisoners who've served the longest sentences for crimes they didn't commit. Since 1989, when DNA was first used in the United States to prove a prisoner's innocent, more than 2,650 inmates nationwide had been exonerated. Altogether, there was 24,150 years lost of wrongful conviction. So they're adding up all of the years that innocent people had served in this country. 24,150 years lost to wrongful convictions. And those are just cases that the system has been forced to acknowledge. I first became involved. So this is somebody that was involved in helping him get out of prison. What a pity. I mean, look at this man. He didn't get to get married. He didn't have children. He didn't get to be a grandfather. You just robbed him out of everything. But see, in this country, ladies and gentlemen, when you try to tell the truth, and just because of your skin, they don't believe you, that is also another form of rigging. Not believing Black people when they're telling you the truth. Double checking everything Black people say. That's just another form of rigging. That's all it is. So, look, we know these wrongful convictions happen every day in America to Black men and some women too, but primarily Black men. And they still don't do nothing about this. There's ways you can prevent innocent people from going to jail, but they choose not to do it. So look, your loss is their gain. You're caught up in their system. You're doing all of that prison labor, which is really the slavery behind bars. They just move slavery from the plantation to the prisons. And it's all in how they've done it. Look, as soon as the slaves walked off of the plantation, the prisons started going up in the country. So they always intended for Black people to be in those prisons more than anyone else, just by the way they did it. So, mm, so Long was in the Abermurley Correctional Institute in North Carolina, and he didn't know then that he would be released in a month. So I'm glad for him. You know, what a transition. You spent more of your life behind bars than free. Okay, he got locked up at the age of 20. That's how old he was. This is a damn shame. Okay, so now he's out, and boy, have the world changed. You know, now the country is caught up with the election and George Floyd and many other cases, Breonna Taylor. So, and racism is still running rampant in America. So that's one thing that did not change from the time he went in there and the time he has come out. So, to no one's surprise, people of color make up a disproportionate number of the exoneration cases. 13% of the US population is Black. They're still on that, y'all. You know, and it's okay. It's okay, because then when election time come, they can't win an election without 13% of the population. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But let's move on. Yet Black prisoners comprise 39% of the male prison population, and 47% of those proven to have been wrongful convictions. Listen to that number. 47%. 47% of the Black men locked up in America are wrongful convictions. This is why we say your system is rigged, because it is rigged. It is rigged to target only one group of people, and you've been targeting us for hundreds of years. It is a rigged system. It's not a good system, and it's not ran by good people. Okay. This is one wrongfully convicted Black man's story. So it was an evening, April 1976. Sarah Brost was in her home. She shared with her deceased husband, an executive at one of the largest employers in the Charlotte area, when a man broke into her home, held a knife to her throat, and demanded money. He dragged her across the room, tore off her clothes, beat her, and then raped her. And then she proceeded to put the wrong man in jail. So that tells me whoever did it, she didn't even get a good look at him. She put the wrong man in jail. Okay, so she told the investigators that she had scratched him with her fingernails. The phone rang, startling the attacker. He got up and ran out the front door. She ran to a neighbor's house who called the police. Now, if you look at his face in the mugshot, you don't see no scratches on him. She said she scratched him up. There's nary scratch on his face. Both told the police that the man was Black, yellow black. She said, yellow black. What the hell was a yellow? Okay, according to the court documents, meaning light skinned, yellow black. This man ain't light skinned. Oh boy, you people are no good. You are no good. And wore a cap and leather coat. The next day, officers presented Boast with photographs of 13 suspects. None of them looked like the attacker, she said. Nearly 2 weeks later, the police went to her again and, they joined her at the courthouse because they said the man who raped her might be present. Scared he'd see her, she wore a disguise, a red wig and glasses, and sat in the gallery. Of the 50 or so people in the courtroom that day, 12 were Black, and Ronnie Long was one of them. He happened to be wearing a leather coat and was seated in the middle of the gallery the entire time. Boast was surveying the crowd. Still, it took her 90 minutes to identify him as her attacker, and only after the judge called him to come forward on on a trespassing charge. So he was there on a trespassing charge. And she was in the courtroom and swore this was the person. First of all, she said he was yellow black. This dude ain't no yellow black. He's not light skinned. Okay, and it took her 90 minutes to identify him. That right there throws up a red flag in itself. It took you 90 minutes to identify him. See, I would never have believed her just based on that alone. That evening, May 10th, 1976, Long was arrested. And you can see him in the middle. That was the day he was arrested. Nonetheless, the highly suggestive and inherently unreliable way in which he was identified, the case against Long never added up. No. Okay, so his skin is dark, not yellow black. Boast had described the man as clean shaven, and as you can see, he had facial hair. She said the man that raped her was clean shaven. At the time, Long had facial hair. So, just the description she gave to the police and just looking at him, it don't add up. He had on a leather coat, but there were no scratches on him. There were no scratches on the coat or him. And she said she scratched up the guy pretty badly. Where are the scratches? Nothing is adding up. Nothing. Long was across town at his parents' house where he lived on the phone with his mother and his 2-year-old. Hold on here. I'm getting some strange message on my phone. Okay, so in other words, he was on the phone talking to his mother at the time when this crime took place. So there was no evidence available that was pointing to him. In fact, police did not thoroughly sweep Boast's home. They took hundreds of photographs, collected strands of hair, as well as samples from the carpet and the wall paint, and lifted a partial shoe print from the front porch. A sexual assault kit was collected from Boast, and there was no record that it was ever tested or that it even existed. So they collected all that evidence and then didn't test nothing. Yeah, that sounds American. The outcome was determined before the trial began. Physical evidence be dampened, Long would be convicted, and he'd be pursued to the fullest extent of the law. At the time of his arrest, there was only one possible sentence for a rape victim in North Carolina, the death penalty. A death penalty for raping a white woman. Woo, y'all done lost your minds. Prosecutors, um, you know, they wanted to do a plea deal, but plea deals have always been bad for Black men. You still get the raw end of the deal no matter what. So he was found guilty. Mm-mm-mm. Wow. Despite the overwhelming odds against him and the fate he faced if convicted, Long turned down the offer. So he didn't take the plea deal. And why should he? He didn't do it. And this is another thing that is real big when it comes down to Black men in America is the plea deal. They're always giving you these plea deals for things you never did, you know? But see, again, all part of the rigging, all part of a rigging. And these folks got the audacity to believe you should believe in their effed up system, a system that never worked. It's the worst system on the face of the earth. Criminal justice in America is a disgrace. And so are the people that run it. Mm-mm-mm. So he said, my dad looked at me and told me I didn't raise y'all to admit to something you didn't do. He would later tell a reporter. So I didn't take the plea. I went to trial on October 1st, 1976, an all-white jury drawn from a pool of prospective jurors, handpicked by the sheriffs, four of whom had professional connections to Sarah Bruce. So they had people that she knew personally, the woman that was accusing rape, that she knew personally that were part of the jury. So much for a fair jury. So he was, all the odds were against him from the start. So four people on that jury knew this woman personally. Wow. So he was convicted of first-degree rape and burglary by an all-white jury. So this was not his first attempt in getting out, ladies and gentlemen. He did try to appeal over the years, but it wasn't until August 27th, 2020, Ronnie Long was given his freedom. Mm-mm-mm. Wow. This is so sad. You can't give a man those kind of years back, you know? And as far as I'm concerned, this is why there should always be financial restitution for doing this to thing. They even got it rigged up, y'all, where they don't even want to give restitution or admit they've done something wrong when these cases come up. But he should definitely be able to get millions out of this. I hope he lawyers up and go after the very same system that convicted him. Really should sue the woman that wrongfully fingered him as the guy that did it, although he didn't fit none of the description that she gave. He didn't fit nothing, but they jailed him anyway. And that's usually how it's done in America. But y'all, please tell me what you think. I'm happy Ronnie Long is now a free man, and I wish him the best. I hope he gets to enjoy the rest of his life, and this legal system in America go to hell, for real. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.